Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a Bollywood controversy, one that kind of blew up online and touches on a lot of interesting things like celebrity culture, family legacies, and
maybe even some guilt that you might have about things you think you should know.
Yeah, it's really a clash of values playing out very publicly. We've got a quiz show question on the surface, but underneath it gets into some really fascinating stuff about Indian society today.
All right, so to set the stage, this goes back to 2019. Sonakshi Sinha, daughter of the legendary actor Sonakshi Sinha, she's on Kaun Banega Crorepoti, if you aren't familiar. It's a huge Indian game show, kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
So picture this, Amitabh Bachchan.
Wow.
The Amitabh Bachchan, he's your host. The lights, the pressure, intense.
You said it.
And the question that really got Sonakshi stuck, it was about the Ramayana.
Oh, wow.
One of the most important epics in Indian culture. She was asked to say who Hanuman brought the Sanjivani booty back for. Hanuman, the monkey god, of course.
Yeah. And here's where it gets interesting. Her family has a strong connection to the Ramayana. Her father's name's Shatrughan. He's a character from the epic. Her brothers are named Luv and Kush, also Ramayana characters. And get this, their house is called Ramayana.
You're kidding?
Nope. Even Bachchan himself pointed out the irony on the show. You can imagine how that added to the whole drama.
I bet. This kind of gets to the heart of what we expect from Indian celebrities, especially those from families so connected to these epics.
Yeah, like, are they supposed to be walking encyclopedias of all this ancient knowledge?
Exactly. Was this just Sonakshi slipping up, or is it a sign of something bigger?
And now fast forward to 2024, Mukesh Khanna, famous for playing the superhero Shaktimona, well, he decides to bring this whole thing back up. Criticizes Sonakshi publicly, says her dad, Sonakshi Sinha, didn't instill these cultural values in his kids.
Ouch.
Yeah, pretty harsh.
Right. So I was reading Khanna's comments in the Indian Express.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hold back at all. He even says that Sonakshi, not knowing this Ramayana stuff, it points to a decline in cultural values among young people today. And get this, he's pushing to bring back his Shaktiman character to, quote, instill these values in children.
Interesting. Is he being genuine? Is this a publicity stunt? Or is it a little of both?
Right. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But it really makes you think, who is actually responsible for passing down this kind of cultural knowledge?
Yeah. Is it parents, schools, celebrities, TV shows? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because Khanna himself is taking on this role of cultural guardian. Like, remember, Shaktiman was all about fighting evil and promoting good values.
Right.
So in a way, he's sort of casting himself as like a modern day cultural superhero by jumping into this whole debate.
That's a good point. It's kind of meta when you think about it. Of course, Sonakshi isn't just going to sit there and take it. She hits back on Instagram with a super powerful response, defends her dad, defends her family's values, and she makes this very pointed remark about how two women on the show didn't know the answer, yet she's the only one being targeted.
That is interesting. Yeah, it makes you wonder if there's a double standard going on. Like, were people more surprised that a woman from a family with such strong Ramayana ties didn't know the answer?
Yeah, good question.
And if so, why? That's a whole other aspect of this we could really get into.
Okay, but here's where Sonakshi's response gets really clever. She brings up Lord Ram himself. Says if he could forgive Manthara, Kaikeyi, even Ravana, then surely Mukesh Khanna can let go of this extremely small thing.
Bold move.
Right.
Yeah, very bold.
And it's smart. She's appealing to this deeply ingrained value of forgiveness in Hinduism.
It's strategic, too. By comparing herself to those who wronged Lord Ram, she's kind of making Khanna look like the one who can't forgive, which, is a quality that's super important in Indian culture.
So we've got a quiz question. Family drama, a superhero, and now we're wading into deep theological waters. This is why I love these deep dives. You start out dipping your toe in, next thing you know, you're in the Mariana Trench of cultural complexities.
Totally.
Right.
It really makes you wonder, is this about knowledge?
Yeah.
Pride? Or something else entirely?
Yeah. What do you think this whole thing says about celebrity culture in India?
Lots to think about.
Stay tuned, because in part 2, we're going to really break down Sonakshi's response and look at these wider implications. We'll see if those ripples from 2019 have turned into tidal waves in 2024.
Looking forward to it. Sonakshi bringing up Lord Ram's forgiveness. I mean, that's brilliant. She's not just defending herself. She's challenging Khanna's whole stance. Like, think about it. Is holding this grudge, does it even fit with the values he claims to care about?
It's such a power move. She's basically saying, hey, If Lord Ram could forgive some seriously awful stuff, maybe we can all back off a little and offer a little grace, you know? Makes you wonder if sometimes, when we're so busy defending tradition, we forget about the most important values of all.
And it taps into something that I think everyone struggles with.
Yeah.
It's that balance between holding people accountable and allowing for forgiveness and growth.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not just about right and wrong, it's about understanding and compassion.
And something I've been thinking about, so much of the talk around this whole thing, it focuses on Sonakshi not knowing the answer. But honestly, how many people, if you really ask them, could say they know every little detail of these ancient epics?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I couldn't.
No, me neither.
Right.
It kind of shows this idea of performative knowledge, like you have to prove how culturally connected you are.
Yeah.
Like knowing all this trivia,
Right.
but is that really understanding? It makes you wonder if sometimes we focus so much on memorizing that we lose sight of actually engaging with our heritage.
And we can't forget the whole generational thing here. Khanna's coming from a place of wanting young people today to learn these traditional values. But those values might not mean the same thing to a generation facing such a different world.
Absolutely. These young people today, they're growing up globalized, digital. Their whole understanding of identity, of community, even spirituality is probably very different from older generations.
Right.
So then the question becomes, how do we pass down these traditions in a way that's meaningful and relevant to young people today?
It's tough, right? It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You can't force those same values on a new generation without taking into account their context, their worldview. It has to evolve, not just be preserved.
And maybe Sonakshi, by talking about forgiveness and understanding, maybe she's actually speaking more to a more modern set of values, even global values, you know, like empathy, inclusivity, dialogue.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's fascinating to see how all these different perspectives are playing out in this public debate.
This whole thing also makes me think about the crazy standards we have for celebrities. It's like they're supposed to be perfect role models, paragons of knowledge and virtue, but they're human. Just like us,
Right.
They have flaws, blind spots.
And people scrutinize them constantly. Every little mistake, every slip up, it's blown way out of proportion.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. They have this platform and influence, but they're also under this immense pressure to perform a certain kind of identity.
And in this case, we're talking about a woman being judged for her knowledge of a religious text. I
Exactly.
can't help but wonder, would a male celebrity get the same treatment?
I don't know.
It's a good question. I think there's often a double standard. Women are expected to uphold tradition and culture, while men are given a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
That's something we should keep in mind as we're looking at this.
We pile on these expectations without considering the person, their background, their experiences. We forget that knowledge isn't just about facts. It's about understanding, interpretation, how you apply it.
And it brings up a bigger question. What is essential cultural knowledge? Who gets to decide? Is it memorizing facts from a book? Or is it understanding the values, the stories, the meaning behind those traditions?
That's the big question, isn't it? In a world with so much information, we have to choose what we learn, what we focus on, what we pass down.
Right.
It's not just what you know, it's why you know it.
And that's what I find so interesting about this whole deep dive. It's not just a Bollywood controversy anymore. We're talking about how we connect with tradition, how we understand knowledge, and these really complex questions about identity and belonging. It's especially in a world that's changing so fast.
So to our listener out there, what does this bring up for you? What parts of this connect to your own experiences? I don't know about you, but this whole thing got me thinking. Have you ever felt that pressure to know something that you just didn't?
Oh yeah,
Like maybe it was a family history question at a party, or something about a religious text you were supposed to know, or even like some pop culture reference that everyone else got, and you were just sitting there like, wait, am I the only one who doesn't know this?
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's that feeling of, uh-oh, am I out of the loop here? And it makes you realize knowledge can be a source of pride, but not knowing something, that can be a source of shame too.
It's true. It can really affect how we see ourselves, how other people see us, even how we connect to our communities.
For sure.
And what's so interesting about this whole Sonakshi and Khanna thing is that it puts a spotlight on that tension. On the one hand, there's this expectation that we should all be preserving and passing down our cultural heritage.
Right.
But on the other hand, everyone has the right to say, hey, this is what I know and this is what I don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
And it gets tricky because Who decides what counts as essential knowledge?
Right.
Is it about memorizing facts from a book? Or is it about understanding the values, the stories, the whole spirit behind those traditions?
Yeah, and who gets to be the judge of that?
Exactly.
Because if it's just about facts and dates, then we're all just walking trivia databases.
Right.
But culture is so much more than that.
It really is.
It's about how we connect with those stories, how they shape our lives, how they become part of our values.
And it's always changing, too. Think about the Ramayana. It's been interpreted in so many different ways. Throughout history.
Oh, yeah.
So many versions, adaptations. Different regions have their own takes on it.
So is there even one right way to understand it?
I don't think so. It's more about the conversation, the questions, the personal connection we make with those stories.
Yeah. It's like that saying, the map is not the territory. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but it's what you do with it, how you live it. That really matters.
I love that.
And that's why I think what Sonakshi did, bringing up forgiveness, it's so powerful. It's not just about knowing the Ramayana, it's about living those values.
Yes, she flipped the whole script. It's not about what she doesn't know. It's about how she chooses to act, how she chooses to forgive. Even when people are criticizing her.
Right.
And in a way, that's a much deeper understanding of the Ramayana than just knowing the answer to a quiz question.
It's like she's saying, okay, knowledge is important, but so is compassion, understanding, and being able to move on. Maybe those are the things we should really be focusing on.
Absolutely. And that's a message for everyone, not just celebrities. It reminds us that we're all learning, growing, making mistakes, hopefully forgiving ourselves and others along the way.
Because at the end of the day, isn't that what it's really about? Connecting with each other, building bridges, and recognizing that we're all works in progress.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe having a little fun while we're at it.
For sure.
So to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. What does cultural knowledge mean to you? Is it about facts and figures or something more? How do you connect with your own heritage?
And how do you handle those moments when you realize there's something you don't know?
Because those moments are going to happen. We all mess up. We all have gaps in our knowledge. But it's how we react that matters. Do we hide in shame, or do we take it as a chance to learn and grow?
This deep dive has taken us on quite a journey. From a simple quiz question to this exploration of knowledge, identity, the power of forgiveness.
And it all started with a Bollywood controversy. Who knew, right? This is why I love these deep dives. You never know where they'll take you. So keep questioning, keep exploring, keep those conversations going.
And until our next deep dive, stay curious.